First killer.
Is it?
Edmund Lowry Jr. is one of those RDR2 moments where the game basically says, you sure you still want to explore? Now you might not know this, but he is inspired from a killer. How happens to be Nebraska's first documented serial killer and the first person the state ever executed. In game, you're riding toward Valentine, minding your outlaw business, and suddenly there's a head, then an arm, then a note. Lowry stages bodies like he's running some twisted art gallery, and every clue feels like he's whispering, keep looking. I made more. Now Rockstar didn't just invent this creep, they basically dipped into real history and said, yeah, let's make that nightmare playable. Edmund Lowry is heavily inspired by Stephen D. Richards, a real-life serial killer nicknamed the Nebraska Fiend. He stalked Nebraska and Iowa in the late 1800s, the same wide-open frontier vibe as the Heartlands. Richards was staying with families, working ranch jobs, earning trust, and then killing the very people who fed him and let him sleep under their roof. He murdered adults and children alike, often while they slept, then went to breakfast the next morning as if nothing had happened. He was finally caught and confessed to multiple murders. A full biography of him was published way back in 1879 by the Nebraska State Journal. Rockstar didn't copy the story beat for beat. They just invited us to walk the same terrifying path. Lowry isn't scary because he kills. He's scary because he wants you to follow. Second killer.
Bray might be just the person we need for you-know-what.
Bray and Tammy Aberdeen, the friendly dinner you should have skipped. The Aberdeens are proof that in RDR2, if someone invites you in for food, just eat the canned beans in your satchel. You show up at their cozy little farmhouse in Scarlet Meadows and they're almost too welcoming. Big smiles, awkward flirting, sit down, have a drink. And yeah, that's the trap. They get you comfortable, get you drunk. The next thing you know, Arthur wakes up half buried, robbed, and feeling like the main course. And the creepiest part, Rockstar didn't pull this out of thin air. Bray and Tammy are basically inspired by the Bloody Benders, a real Kansas family from the 1870s. They ran an innocent-looking roadside inn, offered travelers dinner and a place to sleep, then murdered them, buried the bodies on their property, and looted whatever they carried. They had a system too, charm you, seat you, distract you, and then goodbye. When authorities finally caught on, the Benders vanished. Never arrested, never officially found. Sound familiar? Rockstar just swapped the inn for a pig farm and kept the unsettling welcome home, stranger, energy. With the Aberdeens, the danger isn't outside the house. It's the people smiling across the table. Third killers. The Skinner brothers and the frontier monsters they resemble. When you stumble across the Skinner brothers in RDR2, it feels less like a random encounter and more like you found the worst campsite in America. These guys don't just kill, they decorate with it. Bodies hung from trees, limbs scattered around campfires, laughing while they carve people up like it's a hobby. They aren't outlaws, they're predators who just happen to have rifles. And while Rockstar never officially said it, a lot of historians and fans point toward one real-world blueprint, the Harp brothers. Back in the late 1700s, Micajah and Wiley Harp roamed the American frontier like walking nightmares. They didn't rob banks, they murdered travelers, families, strangers, sometimes just because they felt like it. They moved from camp to camp, leaving mutilated bodies behind, and are often labeled America's first documented serial killers. Sound like anyone? It's that same lawless wilderness horror, men who treat the frontier like their personal hunting ground. Rockstar didn't mirror them detail for detail, but the energy, the cruelty, the don't go into the woods feeling, yeah, that's pure Harp Brothers DNA. With the Skinners, the West isn't dangerous because of the wilderness. It's dangerous because something worse is living in it. Fourth killer.
I'm a real...
The killer prostitute, the Valentine rumor you probably shouldn't investigate. RDR2 drops this one like a campfire story. You're hanging around Valentine doing cowboy stuff, and people start whispering about this woman. She's nice, she's sweet, men go spend time with her, and then poof. Not dumped, heartbroken, just deleted from existence like the game uninstalled them. The pattern's creepy, she doesn't rob banks or shoot up saloons, she just invites guys over and they stop being alive. Quiet, personal. No cinematic shootout, just night-night, permanently. And players started going. This feels familiar, because she lines up weirdly well with Eileen Wuornos. Between 1989 and 1990, while engaging in street prostitution along highways in Florida, Wuornos shot, killed, and robbed many of her male clients. Wuornos didn't stalk random targets. She used trust. Come closer. Sit down. Everything's fine. Then it absolutely wasn't. Her story blew up in courts, interviews, documentaries, turning her into one of the most infamous female serial killers in America. Rockstar never said that they based her on Wuornos, but the vibe is loud. Flip the power dynamic, weaponize intimacy, and suddenly the scariest place isn't a gunfight, it's a bedroom. In Valentine, the real danger isn't the drunk cowboys outside, it's the date who makes sure you never leave. Fifth killer. Some discoveries in RDR2 punch you in the gut quietly. Out near Blackwater, players started stumbling across something weird. A mass grave. Not bandits, soldiers, but an entire athletic team. Uniforms, bodies, all dumped together like someone hit clear roster in the worst way imaginable. And the game doesn't explain it. No cutscene, quest, or dramatic villain reveal. Just silence and the unsettling thought that somebody did this somewhere off screen and got away with it. That's what makes it feel real, because history has stories like this. And yeah, that vibe, it lines up with something real. Back in 2009 in Colombia, there was this little amateur soccer team. Normal guys, they sold peanuts for a living, played together on the side. They called themselves Los Manacheros, the Peanut Men. They went out for a match one day and they didn't come back. People in black showed up, called them by name, loaded them into vans, no ransom, no demands, just gone. For almost 2 weeks, nobody knew anything. The only survivor, a 19-year-old kid named Manuel, later explained it. He said they were chained by the neck to trees, left outside for days in the heat with nothing. And then yeah, they were shot. Their bodies were eventually found across the border, ages 17 to 38. Whole team wipe. Authorities blamed the ELN guerrilla group. Nobody ever really figured out why. Sometimes the scariest killer in RDR2 isn't the one you meet. It's the one the world quietly buried and never explained. Sixth killer.
Want Vanderlyn.
Old Dutch. I haven't seen him for months.
That's it?
By the time you finish RDR2, you're probably done with the Pinkertons. They're everywhere. They show up in the woods, in towns, in your nightmares. They chase Dutch, they harass Arthur, and later they're the reason John has to hunt down everyone he ever cared about. And the crazy part? Rockstar didn't really stretch the truth that much. The Pinkertons were real. And in real life, they were kind of like cops for hire. If a railroad company had trouble, they showed up. If a business wanted workers dealt with, yep, Pinkertons. Even governments used them when they didn't want to get their own hands dirty. They weren't heroic detectives. Most of the time, they were muscle. Yeah, they did stop one assassination attempt on Abraham Lincoln, and that gets brought up a lot. But the rest? Strike-breaking, spying, chasing outlaws, intimidating people. And supposedly at one point, there were so many of them that folks joked there were more Pinkertons than actual US soldiers, which kind of explains why in Red Dead, it feels like they spawn out of thin air. Rockstar didn't make them villains for fun. History kind of did that already. So if the Pinkertons feel relentless in RDR2, yeah, that's pretty much how they operated in real life too. Seventh killer.
Sir? Is it land or is it water? Can't make up his mind.
The Bayou in RDR2 already feels off. The fog, the sounds, the I don't want to camp here energy. And then you meet that fat guy, the friendly voice in the swamp, invites Arthur back to his little shack, acts harmless right up until he isn't. He drugs you, do some weird shit with you, and then dumps you out in the mud like trash. No big speech, no dramatic music, just welcome to the Bayou, and your screen fades back in like nothing happened. It's easily one of the most disturbing encounters in the game. But yeah, again, Rockstar didn't pull that out of nowhere. The Bayou Stranger lines up closely with Ronald Dominique, a real-life serial killer from Louisiana. Between 1997 and 2006, Dominique was convicted of raping and murdering more than 23 men and boys. His pattern was frighteningly similar. He would lure victims back to his home, sexually assault them, then kill them and leave their bodies out in the swamps to erase evidence. Same kind of setting, same kind of manipulation, same false, safe friendliness right before everything turns. Rockstar didn't copy every single detail, but the echo is hard to ignore. A predator hiding behind kindness, using isolation and the swamp as cover. Out in the Bayou, it's not the gators you need to worry about. It's the person who sounds friendly in the dark. 8 killer.
Posters on the wall.
I got you, buddy. So we got Elias Green here. We'll see.
Elias Green is one of those bounties in RDR2 where the more he talks, the more your skin crawls. He isn't loud. He isn't crazy in the Micah way. He's calm, polite, almost gentle. And then he starts explaining how he uses everything from the people he kills. Yeah, that's the moment you realize you're not chasing just another outlaw. You're dealing with someone who doesn't see people as people anymore. And Rockstar didn't pull that vibe out of thin air. Elias feels heavily inspired by Ed Gein, also known as the Plainfield Ghoul. Gein lived alone in Wisconsin in the 1950s, working odd jobs, keeping to himself, while secretly robbing graves and murdering women. When police searched his farm, they discovered he had been keeping human remains and turning them into, well, household items. Investigators found chairs covered in human skin, masks made from faces, bowls made from skulls, even a lampshade, all sitting in a normal house like it was Dacre. That's the horror Rockstar tapped into. He was quiet, methodical, detached. Gein became the blueprint for some of the most disturbing fictional killers ever created, and Elias Green carries that same eerie idea. The killer who thinks what he's doing makes sense. Rockstar didn't copy everything, but they captured that unsettling psychology perfectly. Elias isn't scary because he shouts. He's scary because he calmly explains the unthinkable like it's normal.